Now we're going to get back to Brandon, who did a Mac attack yesterday in Pennsylvania. And Brandon has been popping off too good. So, of course, when he's popping off too good, he's got to fuck up. You can't let him be a good candidate. You got to have him be a bad candidate. He's popping off. Now he's going to suck off our law enforcement, okay? He's going to suck him good and he's going to suck him hard. That's what he did. He was a tough on crime malarkey guy in PA.
If I can just interject for a moment, my deceased son, Bo, he was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. And what he used to do is go down on the east side, what's called the Bucket, highest crime rate in the country. There's a place where I was the only white guy that worked as a lifeguard down in that area.
Yeah, Corn Pop! Please tell us about Corn Pop. Go ahead. Do it.
The east side. And you know where you can always tell where the best basketball in the state is and the best basketball in the city is. It's where everybody shows up. If I can
Oh my God, I love that. I love kids sitting on my lap. Corn Pop time. All the black kids. I'm the only white guy working with the black kids. They play basketball. They love basketball. I love kids sitting on my lap. Anyway, I got hairy legs. You know what's really funny? Someone who is not like kept up with everything that Brandon has said is probably going to look at me and go, what the fuck are you saying? Every single thing that I just said in Brandon voice, Joseph Robinette Brandon has said. Like every single thing that I just said is a verbatim, word for word quote from Joseph Robinette Biden. Literally verbatim. Okay, here. So Biden is actually talking about a very old story that he loves explaining, that he loves telling, okay? Here. For those of you who don't know, here it is.
And they weren't allowed to, there was a 3-meter board. I learned a lot. And I learned that it makes a difference. This was the diving board area, and I was one of the guards, and they weren't allowed to, there was a 3-meter board. And if you fell off sideways, you landed on the darn cement over there. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. Well, he came off, and he said, I'll meet you outside. My car, these were all public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, I'll be waiting for you. He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. There was a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where where all the pool filter is. You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. I said, you kidding me? He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car. And they had, in those days, you used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work. He said, you apologize to me? I said, I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said. He said, okay, close the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again. I came down here because I remember the first bumper sticker I saw that made me aware when I was in law school. Proudly for...
What do you mean? You guys can't fucking follow along with his insane ramblings, dude? He went back down to this poor black neighborhood that he was a lifeguard at. And at the pool, he told one of the guys, Corn Pop, who was a bad guy, who ran a bunch of bad dudes, bad boys. Okay, he called Corn Pop Esther Williams because he didn't have headgear when he was in the pool, and he kicked him out as the only white lifeguard. Okay, and then Corn Pop came back with a rusty razor blade. Back in the day, they used to fuck their razor blades up on purpose to make them rust, so that you would do additional rust damage. Okay, not just like a cut, but some poison damage on top of that. Okay, yeah, +4. And he had a mechanic, the only other white guy that works there, cut the chain from the low end of the pool and hand it off to Biden so we could use it as a weapon against Corn Pop.
Holloway, proudly for your dad, first African-American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about. And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair.
It's getting weirder. Oh, it doesn't stop. It gets weirder and weirder.
Come back up again. And look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I tell you what, the men, they're now all men, the guys I work with down here, and they're all guys at the time. They're all good men. Most of them made an awful lot of themselves. And they're all...
Dude, it's so good. I don't know what to say about this other than such a great storyteller, dude.
Mark and had a rough time. And some of you knew Earl. I came back as a public defender. I came back to Delaware and I got a fancy...
Anyway, we're done with that. That was a fun little aside there, but he went back to the fucking Corn Pop. He loves talking about, whenever he wants to talk about reactionary ways of dealing with crime, he always talks about his bona fides in the black community, which revolved around him being a lifeguard in a predominantly black neighborhood and almost beating the shit out of a black dude who he kicked out of the pool because he wasn't wearing a hair net. Okay? So that's his main story. That's his bona fides. Because the other stuff is the crime bill, which is not good. You know what I mean?
Many Republicans have criticized the FBI for investigating the former president, and some have even shown sympathy for the January 6th rioters who attacked police. All that has given President Biden an opening on the campaign trail. Yesterday, he used a speech in Pennsylvania to try to position the Democrats as the party that is toughest on crime. Ed O'Keefe has more.
On the airwaves in states like Pennsylvania.
John Fetterman wants to release convicted murderers from prison.
Public safety is why I ran for office.
And now, on the stump.
I'm opposed to defunding the police. I'm also opposed to defunding the FBI.
How to fight crime and gun violence are taking center stage. During a stop in Pennsylvania Tuesday, President Biden attacked those Republicans who've called for defunding the FBI in response to its search of former President Donald Trump's home in Florida.
Trump 2020!
And denounced Republicans who defend rioters at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
You can't be pro-law enforcement and pro-insurrection. You can't be a party of law and order and call the people who attacked the police on January 6th patriots.
The increased focus on law enforcement, crime, and guns on both sides of the aisle comes as the majority of likely voters see crime and guns as very important issues after the economy and inflation. And while some GOP officials say they want to defund the FBI, most rank-and-file Republicans don't back the idea. Nearly half of registered voters overall say they'd be less likely to vote for a candidate who supports that position.
I'm sure he's going to spend more money that we don't have.
But Republicans like Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson doubt the president's calls for more police funding.
Democrats are very good at providing a title on a bill that promises many things, but they just never deliver on it.
Now, President Biden returns to Pennsylvania tomorrow night to Philadelphia to give a speech on what he likes to call the ongoing battle over the soul of the nation. And voters in Northeast Pennsylvania are getting a visit from former President Trump when he campaigns with Republican candidates on Saturday night.
Local news turns straight up fashion when talking about crime. Dude, so bad. I've been saying this for many, many years. A lot of you are on the internet, so you are the furthest away from like local news watchers. But you've probably seen it. You've probably seen your grandparents. You've probably seen your parents. If you've ever had a conversation with someone over the age of like 30, you most likely have talked to someone who is absolutely fucking consumed local news and has like incredibly reactionary points of view. And it's all coming from this psychotic, bloodthirsty attitude that local news has when covering crime. It's super anti-black too. It's super anti-immigrant. It's super anti-black. Anytime a black person commits a crime, no matter where it is, no matter what the crime is, they will cover it. They will show you the CCTV footage, and they will scream bloody murder. Part of that is because if it bleeds, it leads. Yes, delayed reaction. You're correct. Part of that is also because they are absolutely collaborating with the police, and performing the same role that the police force performs, which is to protect Capitol. And the other reason is because at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. And Sinclair Broadcast doesn't want you to know that at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. Okay? Doesn't want you to understand that at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. And most importantly, doesn't want you to avoid the top of the hour 6-second ad break. Right. Now, there are methods to avoid that top of the hour 6-second ad break. For example, you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Okay? Here's the 1-minute ad break now.